Well, hello there, friends, and welcome back to Royalty USA. I am Lina, your royal news reporter. And oh my goodness, do I have a story for you today that has been absolutely buzzing all across Britain and has now made its way over here to America. And I knew the moment I read it that I had to bring it straight to you. Because today we are not talking about King Charles or Queen Camilla or even the sweet message Melania sent to Kate through Camilla. Today we are talking about the family behind Kate, the Middletons. The family that raised the future Queen of England in a lovely house in Berkshire and gave her the warmth and the groundedness and the extraordinary sense of self that has carried her through everything that royal life has thrown at her. We love the Middletons here at Royalty USA. We truly do. But today, the Middletons are in the headlines for reasons that are a little uncomfortable. And because I always bring you the full story with fairness and with care, I am going to sit down with you today and walk you through every single detail. It starts with a farm, a beautiful, charming 72-acre farm in the Berkshire countryside called Bucklebury Farm Park. In 2021, Pippa Middleton and her husband James Matthews purchased Bucklebury Farm Park, a petting zoo and children's attraction near the Middleton family home in Berkshire, England. Now, if you have never heard of Bucklebury, let me paint you a picture. This is the part of England where the Middleton family has its roots, where Kate and Pippa grew up, where Carole and Michael Middleton still live in their beautiful Georgian manor house. It is rolling green countryside and winding lanes and the kind of quintessentially English landscape that makes you want to put on your wellies and walk for miles. And right in the middle of all of that, Pippa and her husband James, who is a very wealthy man running a London investment firm called Eden Rock, decided to buy this beloved local farm and turn it into something even more wonderful. Trend Hunter. The 72-acre farm is a deer and safari park with animals available to pet, as well as a soft play area, an outdoor play park, a cafe, and glamping safari-style tents for overnight stays. Events included a bunny disco at Easter and Santa's grotto for children at Christmas. A bunny disco Friends. I love that detail so much. This was supposed to be a magical place for families, a place where children could run and pet deer and have Easter adventures and sit in a Santa's grotto at Christmas. And Pippa and James put their hearts into it. Carole Middleton has even been reported to pitch in at times at the quaint property, Kate's mother rolling up her sleeves and helping out at the family farm. There is something so wonderfully down to earth about that image. Hello, Trend Hunter. But here is where the story takes a turn. Because despite all of that charm and all of that effort and all of those bunny discos, the money simply did not work. The business was hit with six-figure losses every year, resulting in a debt of $807,543 in 2025, nearly 1.1 million US dollars, over $1 million in debt, after 5 years of trying, after everything they put into it. The farm that was supposed to be a wonderful community attraction and a profitable family venture had become quietly and painfully a financial disaster. Royal family. And then it got worse. Because when a business connected to a famous family struggles, the press does not stay quiet about it. And neither, it turned out, did the locals. Visitors claimed costs had skyrocketed since 2021, with one calling the park a snooty cash grab. A local added, this was a childhood favorite growing up in Berkshire, but since the Middleton takeover, it has become a place of snobbery and middle-class inclusivity. A snooty cash grab. Those are harsh words, friends. Genuinely harsh. And I want to be fair here because I think it is important. Pippa and James did not buy this farm to be snobby. They bought it because they loved it and they wanted to make it even better. But the numbers tell a story that is hard to argue with. A 2011 photo of the Bucklebury Farm Park sign reveals a ticket price of $6.95 for children, whereas the cost for a peak season ticket for children over 2 in 2026 had skyrocketed to $15, more than double, in 5 years, for a family day out at a local farm. And in a cost of living crisis that has squeezed ordinary British families to breaking point, that kind of price increase hits differently. Dose packer. Local opposition to the couple's involvement had intensified in recent years, with visitors voicing frustration over escalating admission costs. One resident described the venture as a snooty cash grab, suggesting the attraction had lost its former accessibility. Another local offered a harsher assessment, telling the Mail that since the Middleton takeover, it had become a place of snobbery and middle class inclusivity. The criticism reflected a perception that what had once been a beloved childhood destination for Berkshire families had transformed under new ownership. Unofficial royalty. Now Pippa and James did not give up without a fight. Last year, James and Pippa attempted to save the farm park by planning to build a nursery school on the grounds catering to children aged 9 months to 5 years. The proposal initially received approval, but subsequently encountered opposition from the local highways authority, which expressed serious concerns about the increased traffic the facility would generate. They tried. They genuinely tried to find a way to make it work. They went to the council, they made their case, they argued that diversifying the property was essential to securing its future, and the council said no, and the debt kept climbing, and eventually, this year, they made the painful decision to sell. Hello! A representative for Pippa and James confirmed the sale, bringing an end to their 5-year ownership of the site near Carole and Michael Middleton's family home. 5 years, $1 million in losses, a dream that did not work out, and now the farm is in someone else's hands and the Middleton chapter of Bucklebury Farm Park is over. CBS News. Now here is where the story takes another turn that I want to address head-on, because I think it deserves to be discussed with the fairness it requires. When the news of the farm sale and the debts broke, some voices on social media were very unkind. Comments appeared online saying the entire Middleton family has been nothing but failed business people and grifters who bounce from failure to failure. Grifters. That word is a strong one. And I want to sit with it for a moment because I do not think it is fair and I want to explain why. CNN. The Middletons are not grifters. Let me be very clear about that. Michael Middleton built a successful party supply business called Party Pieces from the ground up. Carole Middleton helped run it for decades. They raised 3 children beautifully, gave them extraordinary values and a strong family foundation, and one of those children became the future Queen of England, not because of royal connections, but because of the person she is, a person her parents shaped. That is not grifting, that is a family that worked hard and built something real. Pippa's farm did not succeed, that is true. Business ventures fail. It happens to ordinary families, and it happens to wealthy families, and it happens to everyone in between. Pippa Middleton's estimated net worth is over $50 million, and her wealth comes from publishing deals, media contributions, family business connections, and marriage into significant financial assets. This is not a family on the brink of financial ruin. This is a family that took a risk on a passion project. The risk did not pay off, and they made the sensible decision to cut their losses and move on. That is not failure of character. That is just business. Unofficial royalty. What I think this story really reveals, and this is the part that I find genuinely interesting from a royal watching perspective, is how complicated it is to be adjacent to the royal family, to be Kate's sister, to live in the same Berkshire countryside where Kate grew up, to run a children's farm near Carole and Michael's manor house. Every decision Pippa and James make is watched and reported and commented on in a way that the decisions of ordinary wealthy families simply are not. If an investment banker and his wife bought a farm in the countryside and it lost money and they sold it, nobody would write newspaper articles calling them grifters. But because Pippa is Kate's sister, because she is the woman who walked behind Kate at Westminster Abbey and accidentally became famous in her own right that day, every misstep is magnified 100 times, and that is a heavy thing to carry. To be forever defined by your relationship to someone else, to have your business decisions reported as royal scandals, to have local complaints about ticket prices turn into national headlines about your family's character. Pippa did not ask for that. She was just a woman who wanted to run a lovely farm in the Berkshire countryside near her family home, and it did not work out. And now she has to read about it in every newspaper in Britain. I also want to mention something about Kate in all of this, because I think it would be wrong to tell this story without acknowledging how completely separate Kate is from it. Kate is not involved in the farm. Kate has her own life and her own responsibilities as Princess of Wales, And she has been focused this year on her health and her family and her return to public duties after everything she has been through. The financial decisions of her sister's business are not Kate's responsibility, and they are not a reflection on Kate. The two women love each other deeply. You can see that every time they are photographed together. But they are separate people, living separate lives, making separate decisions. And it would be deeply unfair to hold Kate accountable for Pippa's farm losses any more than you would hold any woman accountable for her siblings' business ventures. What this story does remind us of is something I think is worth saying gently but clearly. Being connected to the royal family, whether by blood or by marriage, does not guarantee business success. It brings attention and it brings opportunity, but it also brings scrutiny and it brings a standard of public accountability that most business people simply do not face. And sometimes, despite the best intentions and the hardest work and the most genuine love for what you are building, things do not work out. The bunny discos and the Santa's grottos and the glamping tents and the petting zoo, all of it wonderful and all of it not quite enough to make the numbers add up. And now Bucklebury Farm Park belongs to someone new. Some other family will take it over and perhaps bring those ticket prices back down and perhaps win back the locals who felt pushed out. And Pippa and James will move on to whatever comes next, carrying $1 million lesson about the gap between a beautiful dream and a profitable business. And the Middletons will remain what they have always been, a warm, close, deeply connected family who raised a future queen and who love each other through the good times and the difficult ones alike. That is the story, friends, not grifters, not failures, just a family that tried something and it did not work out. And in a world that is very quick to judge and very slow to offer grace, I think grace is exactly what this moment calls for. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today here at Royalty USA. I am Lina, your royal news reporter, and I always want to bring you the full story told with fairness and warmth and the kind of nuance that these stories deserve. If this video gave you something to think about, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves royal news as much as you do. And if you have not yet subscribed to Royalty USA, please hit that red button right now, because we have so much more wonderful royal tea coming, and I want you here for every single cup. Leave me a comment below. Do you think the grifter label is fair, or do you think Pippa and James deserve more grace? I want to hear your thoughts. I read every single comment, and I love every one of you. Until next time, God save the king. God bless America. This is Lina, and Royalty USA will see you very soon, darlings.